Greetings, and this is a slightly preachy / angry one because I've got into many debates and / arguments, and I've had a few comments about how Chicago Typewriter is better than Beam Rifle in terms of pure DPS. Yes, the Chicago Typewriter is very good, and the new buff recently, or not really recently, but the latest buff in the latest update for Chicago Typewriter has made it a very prominent weapon, but it does not beat out Beam Rifle, and we're going to go over this in some pretty simple and easy steps. So the Chicago Typewriter does 36 damage per shot. It's got a fire rate of 8.8, however, because I'm pretty sure the game doesn't process an eighth of a bullet, we're going to put that to times 9. And we're going to be calculating DPS over 10 seconds. So for a base formula, we're looking at something like this. Damage times rounds per second over 10 seconds. Now for the full formula of Chicago Typewriter, it will look something along the lines of this, which equates to no more than a pretty hefty 3,240. So that is going to be your average at base, no armor, no rings, no necklace, just the frigging weapon. You will roughly get 3,240 damage. Obviously there are crits involved. This is just the base damage, the weak points. This is just armored areas, so white numbers, low end of you hitting approximately 36 damage per shot. You'll be going to be doing 3,240 damage. Now this is where it gets weird. With the beam rifle at base, it does lose the Chicago Typewriter, but there's one weird thing about the beam rifle, and we're going to go over this in slow turns, so bear with me. At base, we are looking at 60 damage over 4 rounds per second, and we're going to be doing this over 10 seconds, which is 2,400, which is significantly lower. However, the longer we are shooting something with beam rifle, we seem to amp up our damage. Now, I've tried to find an exact number on this. It seems to jump around between 8 and 10%. But even if we put it down to 5%, which it really isn't, I've tried to find the lowest way of putting this to make it as fair as possible, but the only way I can do it is by giving it a severe handicap, and it still beats Chicago Typewriter. So it goes up by 5% every half a second. In theory, it actually goes up by 8 to 10% every half a second. That's every round. And if we equate this into the calculations, ignoring the first shot, so we're going to be doing this over 9.5 seconds, what we actually effectively end up with is our 60 damage with 4 rounds per second over 10 seconds, adding in 8%, well actually no, we've gone for this, we've gone for 5%, which is 120 over a 9.5 second, which is for 0.5 seconds, there's 19 of them in 10 seconds, which is 4,680 damage. Yeah, Chicago Typewriter can do one. Now, I did go further into this to push to a point of where it would matter, essentially. Basically, after 2 seconds, your beam rifle at base has caught up to the damage of Chicago Typewriter, because obviously it will have an initial higher burst due to its stupidly high rate of fire and pretty decent damage. But after 2 seconds, beam rifle has caught up to it. After 3.5 seconds, beam rifle is now effectively made up that difference that it lost out on those 2 seconds and is now pulling ahead of it. So what this means is, maybe not so much on normal and for your normal little squishies on hard, but above that, beam rifle will always outperform Chicago Typewriter, as long as your target is alive, or at least you're able to sustain the fire from the beam rifle on your target for 3.5 seconds. Always. Now, this also got me thinking, because there is another rapid fire weapon in the game, assault rifle. How does that compare? However, there was one slight drawback. Its rounds per second is 7.3. Again, I don't know how this game computes 0.3. Is it really going to make a difference of you firing 30% of a round? So I've rounded it down to 7 in an attempt to make it as fair as possible. We scaled Chicago Typewriter up to 9, rounding it up. So in fairness of math purely, we're going to round assault rifle down to 7 from 7.3. So 45 damage over 7 rounds over 10 seconds. It's 3,150. Now, what I actually found interesting here is if we actually put the true values in, which I'm going to show you now. So what you're looking at is assault rifle, 45 damage over 7.3 rounds over 10 seconds is 3,285. Chicago Typewriter, 36 damage over 8.8 rounds through 10 seconds is 3,168 damage. Quite simply put, in order of how powerful they actually are at base value, beam rifle, assault rifle, Chicago Typewriter. Stop telling me that Chicago Typewriter is better than beam rifle, because as it stands at the moment, it's one of the worst weapons in the game. Leave me alone. Like, seriously, and if you're going to say, oh, my math is wrong, no, it's not. I've done this about a billion times, tested it through in-game. I don't know how to tell you that Chicago Typewriter, yes, it's a good weapon, and there's literally roughly 3% in difference between assault rifle and beam rifle, and there's about 11.4% difference between beam rifle than Chicago Typewriter. It's about 10.1% with assault rifle. But yeah, in terms of how much damage they do, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you other than you're just wrong. Stop bothering me. Now, personally, the part I find absolutely hilarious is even the highest base DPS weapon in the game, the shotgun, 377 times 1.1 over 10 seconds, 4,147. Even that is 10% roughly lower in DPS than the beam rifle when it's rolled up on its own scaling for 10 seconds. And the hilarious part is, if you actually equate into how high the beam rifle can go, its maximum DPS is over 6,000. So yeah, if you're looking for the best weapon in the game, it's beam rifle. You just have to be able to hold it on the target for as long a time as possible. Like, can we stop this debate now? Really? It's kind of irritating and boring. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.